Hello, Assalamu alaikum. This is Talha bin Nadeem, and this will be the uh, this session is basically regarding the uh, user-defined function. This will be the new topic which we are starting today, and so basically uh, user-defined functions are um, nothing but the functions in MATLAB which are not built in, but they are such functions which we will make in order to reduce the repetition of some work in our programming. So for example, uh, we have a built-in function in MATLAB regarding the you can say regarding the summation of something, summation of array, and or some function, or maybe some function regarding the previous functions which we have studied, the multiplication of the polynomial function conv function, or the division of a polynomial function dconv function. So they have basically a script and some another script behind that one function. So this is now what we are going to learn today. This is what we will do, and uh, this will these user defined functions sometimes, most of the time in fact, become very valuable, particularly when you want to perform some calculations, and you have some 10 to 20 line, or maybe more than 20 lines script, and you do not want to write it over and over again. So it is much better to make a separate function file for it, and then use that separate function, user defined function, in your script to directly calculate the values, just like the MATLAB's built-in function. So this was the brief introduction regarding the user defined function. So far we have studied that user defined functions are the functions in the MATLAB, just like the built-in functions, but built-in functions are already, the scripts of the built-in functions are already incorporated in the MATLAB. User defined functions are such functions which you will define, you will calculate, you will perform the necessary calculations in that function, and that function will give you only the output. So what is happening over here is, uh, means, for example, if you are using a built-in function of MATLAB conv function, so what you do is you basically give some input. So let's say I'm just mentioning some function, and it let's say I'm talking about a conv function in MATLAB. So this was the let's say this was some variable. So what is happening over here is conv was basically the built-in function of MATLAB, and there were and since it was a built-in function, it must be in lowercase, and inside the parenthesis there must be some input arguments as well, and this was your output. So this is what we are going to do. What we are going to do is, we want to make some functions just like a conv, so that we can obtain output by using the function which we have defined and sending some inputs. This is what we want to calculate. So now moving forward, so after creating a user defined function, they are needed to be saved, and after saving this user defined function, you can simply use this function as Similarly, like the MATLAB's built-in function, you will not have to write anything. What you will do is you will only mention the function's name and the input arguments, and it will give you the outputs. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a user-defined function. We will save this as a function file, and then we will use it like a built-in function. So this function may contain a single mathematical expression, or it may contain multiple expressions as well. We will do some examples related to this. I will explain two examples. First will only contain a single mathematical expression in the function, while the other one will include multiple expressions in that function file. So basically, what we can conclude is that function files are basically a subprograms within a MATLAB program. So what we are going to do is we are going to we will make a function file. We will enter, first we will make a function file, then we will enter the input in our script file, and when this function file when that function file is executed, it will give you the output and input arguments can be several. It is not necessary that input and output arguments will there can be only, in fact, if you see this built-in function, here you can see that we have two input arguments and only one output argument. But if you remember another function which was of dconv. So this was for the division of the polynomials, and if you remember correctly, there were two outputs, quotient and remainder. So in the second one we had two input and two output, but it is not necessary that your user-defined function should contain one output or one input or two output or two input. It can contain several outputs and several inputs. That all depends upon what the function, for which purpose the function you are making. Okay, now moving forward, the next thing is, how do we create a function file? So in order to create a function file, what you are going to do is you are going to MATLAB on the home tab, and then press the new button, and here you can see a function option. By clicking it, a similar file like a script file will appear, but it will contain this much information. So this is what the syntax of the function file is. I will explain you what these what these lines are, what are the names of these lines, and why these lines are required, and whether they are even required or they are optional. We will discuss these things. So moving towards the structure of a function file, here you can see this is a function file. So the first line is basically called function definition line. So this line over here, this is my function definition line. And then the next line over here, these lines, whatever the percentage percentage comments were wherever the percentage comments were added. Here you can see the first line, the first comment is basically called H1 line, and all the other comments are called help text. So I will discuss what do we mean by H1 line, what do we mean by help text line, how should we define, what should we define in the H1 line and what should we define in help text line. There is no hard and fast rule for it, but there are some thumb rules which are being employed over across the world, which I usually prefer to do it. I will discuss those tricks and those thumb rules with you. So after that, after the help text and H1 lines, H1 line and help text, we basically have a function body. This function body is basically, this is where the calculations will occur. It may contain some calculations, it may contain some conditional statements, may contain some iteration loops. There can be multiple, whatever you have studied till now, you can use this inside this function body. And making the function file is not even different as compared to the script file as well. So this was the general introduction, general layout of the function file. Moving forward, so as I mentioned earlier, that first one is basically the function definition line. So in function definition line, what we have is basically, here you can see that we should have some output arguments. Here it will be the name of the function file, and inside these parentheses you will have to define the input arguments for the function file. So this is what regarding the function definition line is. So whatever the output arguments are, you are going to define over here. Whatever the input arguments are, you are going to define over here. For example, let's say I want to make a function file which basically converts Fahrenheit temperature into degrees Celsius. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter over here that my output argument should be the temperature Celsius in Celsius, and my input argument should be temperature in Fahrenheit. And here I'm going to mention the name of the file. Let's say F2C means that Fahrenheit to Celsius. So this is how the function lines are defined. So let's say you want to define another function. So let's say you want to determine the volume and surface area of the sphere. So what you are going to do is you are going to define that volume and surface area, and here you will define that the input argument should be your radius. So this is how the function definition lines are defined. You will have to define the output arguments, you will have to define the name of the function file, and you will have to define the input arguments as well. Now moving forward, next we have is basically we have some examples over here as well for the input and output arguments. That, for example, in this case you can see that there are three input arguments: amount, rate, and years, and it is giving you two outputs. We have two output arguments over here. In the next one we have only one output argument and two input arguments. And again, this is another thing which should be understand, which needs to be understand over here, that since we are talking about two outputs, so therefore it must be defined inside an array. But if we are talking about only one output, they if you have defined inside an array, that's fine. But if you haven't, then it is also fine, since it will give you only one variable. It is only giving you a one variable as an output. But if it is giving you a two variable as an output, so yes, you will have to define you will have to define it as an array. So it is better to just make an habit that you have to define output arguments inside the square brackets. Then we have another function which is basically for conversion of, for calculating the volume and surface area by using the radius. Then this next one is basically for the trajectory, and we have some three input arguments over here, and you can see that we do not have any output arguments. So there can be such user defined functions as well. They may not be giving you some values, particular values as an output, but possibly they would be giving you some curve, some plot as an output. So for such cases it will be like this, that there will be no output argument. But we cannot have a function without input arguments. We can have a function without output arguments, but we cannot have a function without input arguments. Means since there is no output argument over here, means we will not be getting any value of output, but there is a possibility that it may be giving you some graph over here as an output. So next we have H1 and help text lines. The first line over here, this one is basically my H1 line, while this line, this is my help text. And it is not necessary that help text is consists of only one line. H1 is only one line, but help text may contain several comments. The first line is called H1 line. Now the difference between the H1 line and help text is that when you are using a look for command to determine that whatever, sometime it happens you make a function 4 or 5 weeks ago, and you are using it, you do not remember that what by which name you have used that, you have made that function, so you will use a look for command for it. So this is where your H1 line will help you. Whatever you are doing, whatever the function you are making for is doing, you have to define very carefully the purpose of this function in H1 line. This is just a thumb rule. You can define whatever you want, but it is better to define the purpose of this user defined function. So what we are going to do is, here I am just defining it that this function converts Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius. So this was all regarding the H1 line. Now the help text lines, what happens for the help text line is when you use the help command, so help command is going to check not only within the H1 lines but also from the help text as well. Look for command is only going to check H1 lines. help command is going to check h1 line plus the help text as well. So help command has basically given basically it will be giving you a very, it will check in all the directory that wherever that word is coming out to be. So it can give you numerous outputs, numerous things to check. But when we talk about look for command, because since it is going to check with the h1 line, so your searching time will be reduced, and you will have to select from the options which will appear for you. These options will be only few as compared to the help command. So what we have studied is, what we have learned so far is that h1 line should define the purpose of the function, and whatever the thing you want to define regarding the function which is relevant somewhat but not that important, you will define those things in the help text line. So let's say I want to define over here that Tc is equal to temperature in Celsius. This will be my help text line. And it is not necessary that there can be only one help text line. There can be multiple help text line, but there will be only one h1 line. Temperature in Fahrenheit. So this is my h1 line, and these two are my help text line. Now moving forward, next we have is basically a function body. Now this function body will basically contain the entire code of your function, means whatever the calculations you want to perform. Even then, the most complex user defined function which I made a couple of years ago was for the log mean temperature difference for the heat exchanger. So I was giving basically 4 input arguments in that function, and there were somewhat I guess 8 to 10 formulas, or maybe 12 formulas in the function body, and it was giving me a single output, that was the log mean temperature difference. So it was a quite complicated function file because it consisted of 8 to 10 formulas, and they were interlinked with each other. So right now we are going with a very simplified example in which we have only one input argument and one output argument. Now next, inside the function body, what we can do is we can basically do any sorts of a calculation. We can assign values. We can even use a user defined function inside a user defined function. We can use conditional statements, we can use loops, we can add comments, we can have an interactive input and outputs as well. So this is what we can do, this is what we can enter inside the function body. If I talk about here in the function body, it will contain the formula for conversion of Fahrenheit to Celsius temperature. This is what we are going to do. So we will make this function in this session. You'll have to wait for a few minutes. So now what we are going to do is, first we are going to discuss the local variables. So local variables are basically those variables which are defined either as an input argument or output argument, or an intermediate variables as well inside the function file. These local variables will, the results, the outputs of these local variables will not be shown in the workspace window. Workspace window will show only the values of those variables for which you are which you have used in either command window or in some script file. But for function file, they are not going to show you any sort they are not going to show you the variables which you have used in a function file. For a function file, there is a separate storage directory where they store the variables, and that is a very small space which is given to the function files, but they do not have a, but the functions, the variables of the function file will not be shown in the workspace window. So this is what the local variables are. And next we have a saving of a function file. So after making a function file, what we are going to do is we are going to save this function file. Now in order to save the you can save a function file just like a script file, but it is recommended that whatever the name you are giving this function, like this is the name which I have given. So it is better to use this name for storing this function file. So what we studied regarding saving the function file, we can save the function file and we need to save it by using the same name which I have given to this function, so that whenever I am going to recall it, I will recall it with the same name. If the names are separate, then it can create some ambiguity regarding what was the name which I will have to use. So so for that purpose, in order to avoid such sort of a confusion, it is better to save this function file with the same name. So obviously I cannot save it because I have already made this function file. So if I open it, I can show you over here that this was the function file which I have already made. So I cannot save it with the same formula, with the same. So I cannot save it with the same name. But yes, there is a possibility I can save it with some other name as well. So but I am not making another function. I have already made that function. So that's okay. That's fine for me. So so now moving forward, let's say if we have some other examples over here as well. That for example, if we look at the first one, that the name of the function defined in the function definition line is known, so the file name should also be known. It can be something else, but in order to avoid the confusions, by in order to avoid the confusions such as that I will recall the function by using this name or by this name, it is better to use one name to save the file, save the function file, and to make a function file, or you can say to define a function in a function definition line. So the function files are also saved with the extension of .m. So now this is a very important thing, that user defined functions can be used in a similar way, just like the MATLAB's built-in function. For example, if I talk about this one, this Fahrenheit to degree Celsius function. So what I have done is basically, there was a function body which I haven't mentioned the formula for the conversion of Fahrenheit temperature into degree Celsius. I have mentioned the formula over here. So let's say I want to use this function file. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to call f2c, which is the name of this function file, and the name and the same name by using which you have saved that function file. So then, since it is a user defined function, so there must be some input arguments as well. And here you can see that we have only one input arguments, which is the temperature in Fahrenheit. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to enter the temperature, let's say 32 degree Fahrenheit. So when I execute this, when I run this, so here you can see that my answer is equal to 0, means that the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. So we can use user defined function similarly like the built-in functions. So this is how you can avoid some repetitive work of defining some complex calculations over and over again. So what you can do is, you can simply make a function file, and you can use that file and just enter the input arguments. So it will just act like a user defined function. It will just act like a built-in function of MATLAB, but it will not be a built-in function. It is the function that you have made in your MATLAB. Now moving forward, function files can be called in command window, in script file, or maybe some inside some other function as well. Means just like the nested loops, there can be a nested functions as well. Means we have a user defined function, and inside that user defined function we have another user defined function. So we can use these user defined function wherever we want. So the function files which you have saved is basically stored in a current folder. So this is basically your current folder. You can even change the folder where you want to save, but it is preferable to save the function files in current folder. Now moving forward, so you will enter the input arguments in a user defined function, and they will give you the output arguments, which you can save for the variables which you can have in script file or in a command window, which will be shown in the workspace window as well. So this is how user defined functions are basically used. Next we have an example. So what has happened inside in this question is, he has basically In this question it is being asked that you have to determine the change in area of the rectangular aluminium plate, and the dimensions for the plate is given, which is 4.5 meters by 2.25 meters, and the value for the coefficient of linear thermal expansion for aluminium is also provided in this question, and the temperature changes is also provided, and you can see that the temperature changes are basically in Fahrenheit. So you will have to convert it into the degree Celsius, and you can use it, you can do it by using the you will have to do it by making a user defined function. In fact, it is also mentioned that you have to name the user defined function as F2C, but it is since it is mentioned in the question, so now it is necessary, otherwise you can name it to anything else. So this is what we are going to do. So here we will have two files. First one will be the function file, then we will have the script file. So whenever a question has been given to you in exam or in test, so what you are going to do is you are first going to define the function file, then you are going, after that you are going to define the script file, because you cannot define a script file first, because in a script file a function is user defined function is used, and since you haven't defined that function first, therefore it will give you an error. So you will have to remember these basic things. You have to remember the pattern by which your program will flow. Okay, now moving forward, so you can see that this is, for example, we have this is what my aluminium plate was. A1 by B1 was basically the original dimensions, and after heating it, we basically got the increase in length in both A and B as well. So we will use the linear expansion formula for A as well and for B as well. So by determining the A1 and B1 are given in the question. By determining the A2 and B2, we will calculate the areas. The sequence for the question will be, first you will make a user defined function, which we have already made. Now you can see I have already made a F2C. I have already shown you that how these function files are made. Second step will be, you will have to make a script file, और फिर script file में enter inputs and calculate area 1, or you can say first calculate change, or should I say new length of A and B, then calculate area 1, which is the which was your original area, and area 2, which will be your new area, and take the difference. So this is how we are going to use this. Obviously, when we are talking about the inputs, we will give temperatures as an input and as input as well, but the temperatures will be given in Fahrenheit, So you will have to use F2C function to convert Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius. So this is what we are going to do. I hope it is clear to all of you. This will be the flow for this program. So first what we are going to do is we are going to define the user, we will make a user defined function which we have already made over here. If you see this relation, I have given, I have entered a period operator over here as well. The purpose of entering the period operator over here is, let's say if someone enters an array for the degree Celsius temperature, then it will not, if I do not enter this period operator, so it will not perform it for an array, because it is, I have given a formula I have given a relation only for a single value of Fahrenheit temperature. But if I put a period operator over here, it means that we are talking about even an array as well. So even if you give an array in the Fahrenheit temperature, it will give you the result. It will calculate all the things. So that was the purpose of it. Okay, now moving forward. So let's just enter the data, whatever the data is given to us. So this is my function file. Now I am going to make my script file. So you have to calculate change in area of rectangular plate in this question. Now you will be entering the inputs. So as you can see, I have taken A as a length. So this is my, let's say this is my A and this is my B. You can take the other way around as well. So this is my 4.5 and B1 is basically 2.25. Then another thing which has been given to us is basically the alpha, coefficient of linear expansion for aluminium, which is 23.23 10 to the power minus 6. So we will write it 23 e to the power minus 6. Next we had temperature and a temperature at inlet. The initial temperature of the plate, which was 40 degree Fahrenheit, and the final temperature of the plate, which was 92 degree Fahrenheit. So I'm entering 40 and I'm entering 92. Now obviously these temperatures are in degree Fahrenheit. So we will first have to convert these temperatures into degree Celsius as well. So just to make some difference, I'm entering F and F over here. You can use any other name. As I mentioned that we have separate variables for the function file. The TF of function file and tf of this script file is not same. Function file has a separate directory to store the variables. Script file or command window has separate directory which is shown over here in the workspace window. So now what we are going to do is we are going to calculate, calculate delta t, but we are going to calculate delta t, and for that purpose we need a degree Celsius temperature for them, which is what I will calculate by using my function file. So I am saying tc1, I am going to use f2c just as a MATLAB's built-in function, and there will be a parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis you will have to define the input arguments as well, which is the temperature in Fahrenheit over here. Similarly, I will use it to calculate the second temperature as well, T2 as well in degree Celsius. I will use the same function f2c, but here I will use it for TF2. So here you can see the function, user defined function file which we made, we are using it just like a MATLAB's built-in function. We don't have to remember the formula for the conversion. We don't have to use it for over and over again. This is how function files are going to help you. Okay, next we are going to calculate the degree Celsius temperature. We are going to calculate the change in temperature. So that will be Tc2 minus Tc1, and then we will be calculating the new length of A1 and A and B. We will calculate the new lengths of A and B. For that purpose we are going to use this relation. So delta A will be alpha, or it is better to directly just use this relation like instead of just using the given relation, it is better to directly calculate the length, the new length. We are not concerned with the change in length, we are concerned with the final length which we basically get after heating the plate. So you can say that delta A is equal to A alpha and then delta T. So what we are going to do is and if you don't want to take it as A, if there is a confusion between A and alpha, just take it as the length, and L is basically the initial length. Or you can even take it as L1. Then what will happen over here is that you will get L2 minus change in length will be converted into initial length minus final length minus initial length, and this is what basically has happened over here. So then the next step will be to send this on the right hand side. So we can directly use this relation as well to calculate the final length. We can even use this relation as well, but after using this relation we will have to add this change in length in the initial length to determine the final length, for which we will calculate the area. So that is totally up to you. I am going to use this relation, which will give me a direct length. So this is what I am going to do. So my A2 should be equal to A1 plus A1 multiplied by alpha multiplied by delta t. Okay. Similarly, my B2 should be equal to B1 plus B1 multiplied by alpha multiplied by delta t. I don't want my answers to be print right now straight away. Now we want to calculate the change in area. So delta area should be the difference of initial area and final area. The final area and initial area. So the final area is A2 multiplied by B2 and initial area is A1 multiplied by the B1. So change in area is final area minus initial area. So this is how you can calculate the change in area. After that you can use a fprintf file, fprintf command to show the result. The change in area is percentage, let's say 7.3 fcal backslash n. It should be in square meter. And you will print delta area. So it is basically giving an error regarding that this file does not exist in the folder, otherwise it is existing, you can see over here. So so This is where the error is occurring. Now this is my area. This is what my area is. So I hope it is clear to all of you that how we use a function file and how we basically how we make a function file and then how we use that function file in our script file. So this is what uh, um the user defined functions are. We will do one more example of it, which will be a bit more complicated. So now the question is कि let's say if such sort of a question appears in the exam, what are you going to do? First you are going to write down a function file, and again it is not necessary to write down these so many help text lines. That is totally up to you. You want to write it, you can. You don't want to write it, there is no need to write it. But you have to carefully define the function definition line and h1 line and the function body. After that you will have a script file. Then give the heading of a script file. And in a script file, whatever you have written over here, you will be mentioning there. So this will be the solution for your question. Function file will come first, and then the script file, then this script file. Now moving towards another example. In fact, moving towards another example, there are some differences between the script file and the function files. That both script files and the function files are basically being saved as M files. And the variables of the script files are basically recognized in the command window, but the variables of a function files are not recognized in the workspace window because they are local functions. And the script files will contain a number of commands, and it will be executed in a sequential manner, whereas the function files will not be executed in a sequential manner. Means wherever I will use that user defined function, that file will be executed, whereas in a script file it will be executed from top to bottom, but the function files will be executed whenever it is being called. So these are the main differences between the script files and the function files. So next we have a topic for the anonymous functions. Again, these are some special type of the user defined functions for which we do not have to write down a separate computer code, and we can in fact use the anonymous function. We can define an anonymous function inside the script file as well. We do not save it. So this is what the syntax of the anonymous function is. You will write down the name equals to @ and the argument list, and then the expression, mathematical expression which you want to perform. So Let's say you want to perform a cube. So what you are going to do is you will define the name that cube at the rate x and then x to the power 3. Now the question is, what is x? Let's say define x as equal to 3. Let's say 2. Before that, make sure to use clear all and CNC. So now here you can see that the function has been made, function has been defined, it is not being used. So what we are going to do is we are going to use this function, and we'll say let's say a is equals to the cube function which I have made and the input argument, which is basically the x over here. I will define the value of x over here, or if I have mentioned x equals to 2 here, then I will enter x here, whatever the function you want to send as an input argument. So let's say just I define it as 2. We'll keep this example as simple as possible. So what happens is I have recalled the function of cube. This is my anonymous function because I haven't made a separate function file. So when we have a simple functions like one line function, one line mathematical expression, we can make anonymous function for it inside a script file. But when we have a large number of calculations, so it is preferable to use a separate, it is preferable to make a separate function file. Alright, so here again some more examples are being attached in your lectures. You can practice these examples at your home. Now moving towards the second example of the user defined function. This will be the second and the last question, last example which I will discuss in this video tutorial. So we have basically a projectile motion, and inside this projectile motion, in this projectile motion, the initial speed and the angle of projection has been provided, but I will say ask the user to enter the input velocity and the angle. These input velocity and angle will be asked in script file, and they will be sent into a function file for the calculations. The input arguments will be initial velocity and theta, and at output you should get a maximum height and the maximum distance which is covered during that projectile. So this is what we are going to make now. I hope all of you must have studied projectile motion in intermediate, so you will have to recall those formulas, and you will have to recall those concepts. So these are some of the relations which you have already studied in intermediate level. So I am not going to discuss it over here. Obviously it is from the intermediate outline. You can go through it by yourself. What we are going to, I'm just going to tell you that what we are going to do. We are going to calculate the horizontal component and the vertical component of the velocity. Then in vertical direction we are going to calculate the position position and velocity, and then in the these are the time, this relation is for the time to reach the maximum height, and this relation is for the maximum height. This is the total time of flight for the projectile, and this relation is to calculate the horizontal distance. So this is what we are going to solve now. So now what we are going to do is, we will have to first define a function. Again, I have already made a function file, but I will tell you how to make it. I will not save it, but I will tell you how to make it, how to make this file. So I'm just opening my trajectory function, and a new user defined function. So this is this will be the function which would be appearing to you. A function file will look like this. So now you have to enter, first you will have to carefully define the input and output arguments, or should I say, you have to carefully define a function definition line, input and output arguments plus the name as well. So let's say, as I mentioned, that the outputs will be h max and the distance, the height and the distance. This is what we are going to we are being asked to calculate. And the inputs will be the initial velocity and theta. So this will be my input argument. Now I will have to define the name. So let's just call it trajectory. So this is what, this is my now I have defined my function file. Now I am going to define my h1 line. So you have to define it very carefully. This function calculates h max and b max using v naught, initial velocity and theta. And here you can define whatever you want to define. Okay, this will calculate means that, let's say h max is equal to whatever जो भी आप लिखना चाहे, then define d max, whatever you want to write, and then again define v naught, whatever you want to mention, whatever you want to define, then theta, again whatever you want to mention. You want to mention the units, you can mention it over here, whatever you want to mention that you think is a important thing which you will like to add in a help text line, which will help you in your future work to recall it, to remember it. You can write it over here. That is totally up to you, whatever you want to write. You can even write the input argument, you can even write the input variables as well. You can define the other variables as well, which we will use over here. So here you can see I will provide you I have attached these script file, this function file in a in lecture, you can see over here. So you can see that whatever there are number of things which have been mentioned over here. Okay, now moving forward. Now what we are going to do is looking at these formulas. We basically want to calculate the total time, maximum time, height maximum, and the distance obviously. So what we are going to do is, in order to calculate these four things, maximum time, maximum height, total time, and the maximum distance, we need y component, x component, gravitational acceleration. These are the three things which we need. So first we will have to define gravitational acceleration, which should be 9.81. Then we will have to define the x component of velocity, which will be v dot, which is coming from here, multiplied with cos d of theta. Then you will define v dot y, v dot multiplied by sine d theta. Again, you have to remember that theta must be in degree. This theta and velocity will be defined in a script file. Therefore, we haven't defined it over here. We are just making a function file here. Now, moving forward, now we will have, we will define a relation, a function for time. So T max is basically v dot y divided by g. Then h max v dot y square divided by 2 times of g. Then T total, which is twice of T max. Then D max is equal to v dot x multiplied with T total. So these are the four formulas which I have used over here. The first three were the inputs which will be used here. So I have defined them first and then the other formulas. Okay, now another thing which you must know is that in addition, the function should generate a plot for the trajectory as well. So now we want to plot a graph as well. So now trajectory of motion. So for that purpose, I will have to define my x and my y. So this is what we are going to do now for the trajectory. So for trajectory, as you can see that it is starting from here and it is going till the maximum distance. So what we are going to do is we will start x from 0 to the maximum distance with some relevant difference. Let's say 0.1. I think 0.1 will be enough for this case. Okay. You can even use a linear space function as well with the 200 differences. So there are multiple options which you can use. So now moving forward, now you can see that this x, you can calculate the horizontal distance by multiplying the x component with the time. So x component of velocity multiplied with time, t plot. I'm just giving it a name, t plot. What is t plot? I haven't defined it yet. I will define it later. For y, so you can see for y you have this relation, means initial velocity multiplied by the time, v naught y multiplied by time, which is, let's say, which is t plot over here, minus ka g multiplied with again t plot divided by 2. So now the question is, what is t plot? So t plot will basically be an array which will start from 0 to t total, and with the difference of, let's say, 0.01, or with the difference of let's say 0.1 only. But in that case I will not know the number of points, how many points do I get. So let's just try it over here. What happens? The other option can be by using the linear space function. So that can be like t plot equals to linear space. Here you will define 0, t total, and let's say 200 points. Now we are going to plot our x and y. We will label x-axis and y-axis. For that purpose you can directly use we have studied these commands in two-dimensional plots classes in the in campus. However, I have still uploaded a video, recorded video lecture for the plot function as well. So in case if someone of you have missed it, you can watch it from there. So now this is my this is what my function file is appearing to be. So again, I am not going to save it because I have already made it. So I will simply just use this file. Although the comments are different in the file which I have already made, here I haven't mentioned any comments. I have just shown that you can enter some comments over here. But the script inside this file is more or less same. which I have mentioned here, which I have written over here. So now moving forward, now moving towards the script file. Trajectory of projectile. So now we will start off with clear all and CNC. Then as I mentioned that you will have to ask the user to enter the input velocity. And I have also asked theta as an input from the user as well. So now what I am going to do is I will have to use the already made function which I have made by the name of trajectory, which I have saved as a name of trajectory. So I'm using it. And there must be some input arguments, and here you can see that there are two input arguments, V0 and theta. So I will send V0 and theta as an input argument, and as a result you will get two outputs. So therefore I will make an array for H max and D max. I would like to even print it as well. The maximum height is percentage 7.3 F meters. H max. Similarly, we will talk about the maximum distance covered. Yeah, and we will have a D max over here. So when I execute this, so here you can see it is asking me about entering the input velocity, so which in our case, in our question, was 230 meter per second. So 230 meter per second, and the angle is 39 degree. So now this is what has appeared: the maximum height, the maximum distance, and even the trajectory is also appearing over here. So this is why the function files are used. That is how the function files are used. And you can make the function files for many cases. You can see there were number of formulas which should have been used to calculate the maximum height and maximum distance, but what we have done is we have just used the trajectory function, and we have a 6-line script only because we have previously done the work for making this function, which is presented over here, which is a 21 line function, 21 line script over here. So and we can use this trajectory function wherever we want. All you need to do is you have to mention trajectory and mention the velocity, let's say 100, and angle, let's say 25. So it will give you the answers, and even it will give you the trajectory profile as well, trajectory of a projectile as well. It is giving you one answer because I haven't mentioned it as an array. So let's say A and B, then trajectory. So what we are doing is basically we are just using it as a user defined function. So this is how helpful we are just using it like a built-in functions of MATLAB. So this is how helpful these user defined functions are. So this was all regarding the user defined functions. Um, I will try to do one or two more examples in the online sessions. So till then, I expect all of you to watch this video carefully. Try to practice these questions. Try to practice these examples at your home, because practice makes the man perfect. If you are not going to practice it, these things you will never be able to understand these things. So okay, that's all for from my side today. uh, Allah Hafiz.